It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is one of my personal favorite shows. I happened to catch this for the first time in monsoon season, and I don't know why that is important, but well, I thought I'd leave it out there. This is a show with characters that are all extremely funny. Each of the characters stand out on their own and could probably make a show funny on their own if they were only there. But what makes this an absolute classic is that they all interact with each other and have fantastic chemistry that many other shows lack. From Charlie to Mac to Frank to Dee, and even to Dennis Reynolds, all of them are extremely funny, but this particular show or this particular video will focus on the narcissistic psychopath, Dennis Reynolds. Dennis Reynolds, and even in the earlier season, showed some signs of psychopathness, some signs of selfishness, some signs of self obsession. He would always see how this particular relationship or any friendship be beneficial to him. He never really cared that much about his friends. He always thought or always tried to figure out ways how the friendships, the relationships, the acquaintances can benefit him. And this was absolutely beautifully planned and beautifully written by the cast, by the writers, and it was fantastic to see. Even though the signs were always there of this character being an absolute narcissistic psychopath, it was still a slow burner. This show showed the downward spiral of Dennis Reynolds in a wonderful way, in an absolutely intelligent, genius, comedic way. Dennis prioritizes his own needs above everyone else, often causing great harm to others both emotionally and physically. He projects an outwardly confident, self obsessed persona to the point where he becomes a little, well, no, little, a lot delusional. He often attempts to utilize his perceived good looks and charm to manipulate women, either offering to sleep with them in exchange for something he wants or coercing them to sleep with him in pursuit of a power trip. Now, this show is extremely dark, and Dennis is a dark character. This is dark humor. Some people might not like it, but some people probably can see the darkness in it and laugh. One of the funniest, yet some people say problematic, but depending how you look at it, if you look at it just like a TV show and nothing else, an extremely funny moment is when Dennis and Mac have bought a boat because Dennis hopes that it makes them more attractive to women and would lead them for sleeping with them. Part of the appeal for Dennis is that being in the open ocean will coerce women into saying yes when they really don't want to, but he refuses to say this explicitly. Mac understands what Dennis is saying but does not want to believe that his friend is potentially like this, so he asks him to elaborate more on what he means. Dennis is unable to justify himself, repeatedly explaining himself, and comes off as a complete monster. Now, the funny part is not what he's implying, but the funny part is the shock value in which he can't defend himself, and the absolute darkness of the situation where we can laugh at the fact that Dennis, or I beg your pardon, Mac, finds out that probably his heart is broken that his friend is like that. To put it simpler, that it exposes twisted rationalization that these people use to justify their actions. It can't be what it is because she didn't say no. A lot of people like that consider themselves like this because they don't use physical violence. They use other means to coerce their victims into doing things they know they wouldn't agree to do. This scene does a great job at showing how that type of guy thinks while making it clear that it's completely, utterly screwed up and, well, horrible. Another hilarious yet horrible thing that Dennis Reynolds does is the Dennis system, where he attracts these women, makes them dependent on him through a system called the Dennis system. D States demonstrate value. Dennis pretended to purchase medications for his ill grandmother for the woman Kaylee, who he was using this Dennis system on. He then proceeded with E, engage physically, by taking her on a cheap date to a close restaurant with backup plan of pizza and a movie. Mac played the wingman and he saw a spider, causing them to watch a movie on Dennis' bed, which led them to sleep together. Then he would do the N, nurturing dependence. Dennis prank called her as an angry neighbor, threatening her life, which is speaking about Kaylee. She grew to need him and then proceeded to do the other N, neglect emotionally. He continued to prank call her but didn't show up for her, causing her to fall into or emotional distress. Then it was I, inspire hope. He showed up at her window telling her that he was afraid to love and that she cured him. After emotional, passionate love-making, he sneaks away in the middle of the night to never return or never be heard from again, which is S, separate entirely. So this was the Dennis system, which was another horrible tactic in everyday life. You would actually hate this individual, but it's a TV show, it's a dark comedy show, so you end up laughing at the shock value, laughing at the horribleness, laughing at this insaneness that the character Dennis Reynolds well is capable of. Thank you so much for watching this dive into the character Dennis Reynolds, a short piece on this hilarious character. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment down below.